and prevail in your fantasy football league with the help of our starting lineup. At host to quarterback the show, we have Nick Giacobbe. Up next, a dual threat in Dynasty and Daily Fantasy, we have Cody Repass. And finally, working the waiver wire, we have Nick Cap. These are your playmakers that will provide you with sleepers, breakouts, and busts to help you achieve fantasy glory. This is the PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 7 of the PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast, where we give you our predictions, our picks, in the hopes that we help you prevail throughout the 2021 fantasy football season. I'm your host, Nick Giacobbe, and joining me is Cody Repass.
Sorry, Nick. I hate I had to do what I did to you.
But before I introduce Nick, I want to read off Cody's monstrous week against me. Just to be clear, I had a good week. I did.
You really did.
I'm projected 151, which is roughly the average. I'd say 140 is average.
You could almost double that to beat me.
I have 151 projected. I have Russell Wilson, John Taylor, Harris, Jefferson all over 20. Then I have Robert Woods and Gesicki over 14. Cleveland defense over 12. OBJ, we're going to talk about you. Robbie Gould decided before kickoff, let's not play today. And then I have
he
Chris
wasn't going to
Godwin.
get you 70, though.
No,
So
hold on. And then I have Chris Godwin going tonight. We're recording right before the Sunday night football game, so I have Chris Godwin as well. So I'm at 136.
He might break the slate.
Cody may have the most points in the 8 years that we've done this league. Cody may have the most points any team's ever scored. I'd have to double check this. I know we've had a
I went over 200 twice this year against both of you.
Cody's at 225.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. Cody had Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley at 32, Montgomery at 25, Debo at 41. I got Tyreek at 52. Cody at 225. In the history of this 8-year league, I think we've only had one or two go over 220, and I'm pretty sure I was one of them. Anyway, congratulations, Cody. You had a monstrous week against me. I tip my hat to that one. Monstrous week.
It's crazy. I've went over 200 against my two co-hosts.
Yeah.
And Tyreek killed both of them.
Yeah. Let's bring in Nick Capsalis. Nick, I mean, you're partly to blame for this Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I'm to blame. I didn't warn Nick. I'm playing Tyreek in another league, and as I always say, Tyreek averages 200 yards per game against me. It's phenomenal. But I do got one thing to say. Jet the hell up, baby. Took the Shanks 30-yard field goal, but we take those done. Let's go.
The Jets have knocked me out of my Survivor pool, so thanks for that.
Let's go.
I didn't bet. I didn't pick the Titans for that reason.
I didn't feel confident.
Week, so.
I didn't feel confident about it last night, and I should have trusted my gut, but whatever. Let's do a little recap of our weeks, at least. It's Sunday nights. Our matchups aren't finished yet, but we can still talk about it. I didn't even check my daily lineup due to the Seahawks not playing. They won, but stat-wise, I didn't even check my daily lineup. I know I lost. But with my other leagues, I obviously lost to Cody. In my Dynasty League, I'm looking pretty good right now. I'm projected to win by 27, it looks like. I'm up 48. He has Mike Williams in Tampa D. I have Daniel Carlson. Barring anything ridiculously crazy, I should win that one. I did have Tyreek Hill, so I'm okay trading the Tyreek Hill for a loss and for a win because the Dynasty League definitely does matter big time. In my other league that I'm currently 0 for 3 in, I'm projected to win 120 to 92. I actually have the 120 right now. He has 92 with Jacoby Myers and OJ Howard left. And then in my final league, it looks like I'm definitely going to win this one. I'm at 120. I have and I have Hunter Renfrow left to play. He's at 73 or 78, and he only has Mike Williams left to play. So again, I should win that one. So it looks like I could go 3-1 on the week, 2-2, 3-1, something like that. So Seattle won. Fantasy did okay. So successful week 4, I would say, for me. What about you, Cody? How did your week 4 go? So far, at least. It's Sunday night. You don't know, but so far, what are we looking at?
Well, in pretty much everywhere, the guys that I love, that I proclaimed my endless love to before the season, Jalen Hurts went nuts today. Deebo Samuel went nuts today. I have both of them in every one of my redraft leagues but one each. So all those teams are looking really good. obviously, I think the one redraft league that I'm losing in, I got Mahomes and Tyreek Till out.
Oh, that's a bad stack today.
That's
like 100 points right there. Depending on your bonuses, that's probably 90, 100 points.
There's no bonuses in this league. But what's crazy is I'm going to score 180 points and lose.
I think Nick's in a similar situation. So, Nick, how did your week 4 go?
I still got a lot up for grabs, but I know in my biggest money league, I got 150 points. 12-man league, number 2 scorer on the week to someone with 155. Like, you can't write it. And
you got Tyreek again.
I got Tyreek in that league. Just so the viewers at home understand, this is the common reoccurrence in our league. I'm allowing 200 points per game. I'm 0-3. I'm top 5 in scoring. It just happens to me. It's what it is.
Nick, we need to put out just an alert whenever you're playing against Tyreek Hill.
Yes.
So the world knows to play him.
So go to church before that game.
Yeah, me and Cody are stacking him in daily fantasy no matter the opponent at that point.
I should have. Let's speak of daily fantasy. I pivoted. I had a Jimmy Garoppolo stack. I was all over the fantasy carnival for the Seahawks. I pivoted off of it, which Garoppolo got hurt. I hate that he got hurt, but I pivoted to Patrick Mahomes. I was like, Mahomes is going to be low owned. I said, you know who I'm going to stack with him? I'm going to stack Travis Kelce because he's unguardable. Then I'm going to stack Mecole Hardman because he's dirt cheap. Guess what? Mahomes throws 5 touchdowns. Awesome. Travis Kelce scores 6.3 points, and Mecole Hardman scores 4.2. I'm just stone dead because Tyreek Hill was 15% owned, and he had 40.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. Well, all you out there, hopefully you did just as well, if not better than us in your week 4 matchups. We're going to keep things rolling here to help you out with week 5. We're almost like one third of the season almost done. So let's start off with not our favorite segment, but one we have to do every week, the injury updates. Let's talk about week 4. Let's start out here. We got this alert actually before the Sunday show, but we'll talk about it. Tua Tagovailoa is expected to return week 7 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Miami got embarrassed today. I mean, fantasy-wise, they picked up in the second half with Gesicki and Devontae Parker. Waddle didn't have a great game. Gaskin is borderline, not good. We'll talk about him. But Tua come back week 7. I mean, I don't think you guys have much to say on this one. We still have 2 more weeks left, but I feel like that's just something we should update people on. So, I mean, unless you have something else you want to add, there's not much to say with 3 weeks away. We'll talk about
I love Tua. I hope he's healthy. I hope he's not trying to rush himself back.
We'll talk about that more within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
David Montgomery had a phenomenal game, 100 yards with 2 touchdowns. Cody had him against me, but then I think it was beginning of the 4th quarter, end of 3rd quarter. He had a left knee injury. He did not return. He was helped off the field. What we're learning is that he has an MRI tomorrow. It's believed to be a hyperextension. Yeah. Again, we're recording on Sunday night before the Sunday night football game. So by the time the show releases Tuesday morning, you will probably have more of an update. But Cody, I mean, how bad do you think this injury is, and how do you think this affects that the Chicago Bears team in Montgomery?
If it's just a hyperextension, he might miss a game. With everything they can do anymore in the trainer room, he might not miss any action at all. When he got hurt, I thought it was a whole lot worse. I was not happy as soon as he got hurt, because he's another guy that I have pretty much everywhere. But if he does miss time, it drastically affects their offense.
Yeah, and then Damien Williams, I think he had 15 fantasy points. Yeah. He could slot into that role, but I think he got a little banged up too. I don't think it was as serious. It sounds like at least he's something that could, he could play next week. As far as I know, it's a quad injury. We don't know how serious that is. But Nick, how do you think this at least does affect Montgomery or even Williams going forward?
I mean, I'm not too interested in Williams. I mean, Chicago's not going to be up in a lot of games, and it's game script. That's really why he got so much of a workload and got those points. Outside of Montgomery, I'm not really looking at a running back position in Chicago, especially with Fields being a mobile quarterback. We'll talk about Fields a lot later, but I mean, I'm not really interested in anyone else from that backfield other than Montgomery.
I'm hoping that it's not bad because you probably drafted him as a running back 3 or 2, I should say, in the 3rd round, 4th round, something like that. Especially if you have like McCaffrey who's out. Like if you have McCaffrey and David Montgomery, I don't want to say your season's over, but you need a lot of luck over the next like 3 weeks. We're going to move on. Logan Thomas has a hamstring injury. He did not return to the game. We have a slew of hamstring injuries.
Yeah.
And as we've learned, some are obviously more serious than others. A.J. Brown missed the game today and may have cost his team a win, but if he was out there, he didn't do it on purpose to get injured, but they'd have a greater chance at winning. So how does this affect the football team, Nick?
I mean, it's a big loss for Heineke's young quarterback, likes the tight end position. But I mean, Mclaurin, I mean, he was a monster. I mean, he had a big week regardless. Like I said it when Heineke replaced Fitzpatrick. I gave Gibson a bump, I gave Mclaurin a bump, and I gave Logan Thomas a bump. I liked him better at the position because he's going to only lean on the top 3 options where I felt Fitzpatrick would spread the ball more. And, it's a big hit to that Washington offense. But, I mean, Atlanta's going to Atlanta and just blow that freaking lead again, like just in their nature. I mean, I really don't have much to say on it. You just got to hope the guy gets back because he should finish a top 10 tight end most weeks that he's in. So, not really much other than that to say.
And if you do have Logan Thomas, you're going to the waiver wire and you're just playing Russian roulette. The barrel is holding Gesicki, Dalton Schultz, CJ Uzomah, Max Williams. You're playing Russian roulette. You're firing the gun and hoping that gun loads up a touchdown and like 40 yards for your team next week. So that's just kind of the situation that you're in. Cody, any other thoughts on Logan Thomas and the football team with this injury?
It's a pretty good hit to him. Hein Poopy, I'm not a fan. I just can't get behind him. I mean, obviously, when you have an insane talent like Terry McLaurin to throw the ball to, he's going to make anyone look good.
Yeah, who would trade Terry McLaurin? Like crazy, they trade him for week 2. Man,
Aaron Rodgers.
Imagine
coming off a 3-point.
Still not over that one. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh my God.
For context, for context, in a league that me and Cody are in, somebody traded McLaurin for Aaron Rodgers week 2, and then proceeded to ask me if I wanted Kirk Cousins for. I forget who he wanted from me, but I said to him, dude, why did you just trade Terry? That's dumb. I straight up told him that it was dumb. And he said, oh, he gave me some stupid excuse like, oh, Michael Thomas, like whatever.
He liked him more. He said he liked Aaron Rodgers more, and I was like, bro, why didn't you just draft
him in the 3rd round, man?
Yeah. Anyway, I am excited to see Curtis Samuel in this offense. He played a little bit today. I don't know what his final stat line ended up. I saw he caught a couple balls. But it is going to hurt, especially in the red zone, because that's where Logan Thomas shines.
All right, up next is Will Fuller. He left the game due to a hand injury today. The only update that we've gotten is from Flores after the game. It said that he will require more tests. We don't know how serious it is. So Fuller is probably a guy that was riding your bench anyway, and is borderline droppable. He'll be in stash or trash later on in the show. The only thing I got to say is the Dolphins are a mess right now. I don't think I really want a part of this Dolphins team at all. I don't want the defense. I don't want the running backs. I don't want the receivers. Maybe Waddle. I was really high on Waddle this week, but I don't know. You just never really know what you're getting with this team. I know Parker and Gesicki both had solid weeks, so maybe Gesicki's safe, but again, you just don't know. So, Cody, I'm just going to do a whole Dolphins thing here. Like, are you staying away from this whole Dolphins offense, including Fuller at the moment?
No, Fuller would not be on my roster. Not anymore. I don't even think he would have been on my roster after Tua got hurt and the first game he played. Jacoby Brissett will not push the ball down the field, and that's Will Fuller's game. The only Dolphin that I would even consider rostering would be Waddle, Gesicki, Parker's fringe. I guess you could call him a fringe roster.
He had a good game today. I think he had like 17 points or something.
Yeah. And then Myles Gaskin is a bench player. He's not a guy you can start right now.
Yeah. What about you, Nick? How does this affect the Dolphins team? Any Dolphins you're just trying to roster at this point?
Yeah, I'm right with Cody. I mean, Gaskin should be benched on your team. Maybe you put him in for a bye week if the production goes up. I can't see you trusting him, starting him every single week from here on out. Waddle, same thing based on matchup. That's when you're playing him. Jasicki, double-digit targets last week. I don't remember how many targets he had this week, but I know he did have a good production in the second half. So
first half he had a goose egg, and I was very worried about him, but he got going.
Yeah,
in the
so
second half.
he finished the game strong. End of story. So Jasicki, I'm rostering if you need the tight end position. Waddle
tight end's weak, so
yeah.
Parker, if you're dealing with maybe some injuries at the top of your wide receivers and you need someone. I think we all said Will Fuller. I think we all agreed we're dropping after that second week where you didn't know where he was. Still with that.
So here,
Cody.
Since we're talking about the Dolphins, they go to Tampa next week. Are you playing any Dolphin next week?
Nope.
Any of them? Nope.
I want no part of that. Nope.
I think I'd play Gesicki.
Gesicki.
Just because the position's so bad.
Also,
if you need
so
to,
bad.
I mean, I got to see what tight ends are available, but if you need to, yeah, but
maybe Waddle. I mean, they're going to get hammered.
But receivers too deep though. Like I feel
I know,
there's
but
somebody else you could play.
He might get 10 targets.
I'll wait to see what Sherman's matchup is next week. If Sherman debuts there, and whoever is on Sherman, I don't.
Sherman's playing tonight. Sherman's playing in 30 minutes.
Playing tonight. Okay,
he's activated.
I ain't worried about that old man.
I'm not worried about Sherman.
Come
I'm worried
on.
about who he's going to be matched up with because I don't.
He's old. He's old as dirt.
We'll see what sorry receiver he's matching up with
He'll
tonight.
get dusted tonight.
All right. Jimmy G did not start the second half. He magically got a calf injury at some point during the first half. Wow, what a shame. It is a shame because I actually like Jimmy G a lot. I like playing Jimmy G. I like watching Jimmy G throw interceptions. It makes my life a lot easier facing the 49ers. I didn't like seeing Trey Lance come in against my Seahawks, but from a fantasy perspective, Trey Lance is better for that team. I don't know about George Kittle, though, because he didn't really feature Kittle. But, Cody, let's start with you. How does Trey Lance affect or Jimmy G being injured affect that San Francisco 49ers offense? We don't know if he'll play next week. I don't know.
Nobody should be that damn pretty. No football player should be that damn pretty. I'm sorry. It just you can't make that much money playing football and be that good looking. That's just not how it works.
He's like a contestant on The Bachelor at this point.
The dude, I remember when he hit on Erin Andrews in an interview, and she was like, when he called her babe or something.
Yeah.
She didn't, but she wasn't upset about it. I don't want him to be injured. I hope it's nothing serious. But man, I would love to see Trey Lance be the starter.
I mean, I said on our morning show on Sunday he's going to be the starter by week 8. The under might hit in that one.
Their offense looked bad in the first half. It looked awful.
Yeah.
Against the Carnival.
It looked good like the first 2 drives in the second half that kind of opened up a little bit, and Seattle kind of put their foot on their throats. I mean, I think their only touchdown. They scored 2 touchdowns in the second half. They scored the late one, and the early one. The early one was because a Seahawks corner decided, let's go play patty cake in the center of the field. Well, Debo's running down the sideline. He's going patty cake. Oh, hey Debo, you wanna play with us? Come on, join in. We're playing the Goose next because you don't play coverage on the Seahawks. You just don't.
Who does Seattle play next week?
They play the Rams on Thursday Night Football.
Dang it, I can't stack them up. I can't stack them up on a showdown slate.
Play all your Rams next week. Nick,
season long for sure.
Let's get to you, Nick. What are the ramifications here of Jimmy G potentially being injured, not playing next week? Whatever's going on over there.
I cannot see them pivoting back to Jimmy G after how Trey Lance looked. Trey Lance looked phenomenal in that game. You could tell he needs more snaps. Like you could tell, like his pre-draft analysis of the guy just needs to play more. Like it was spot on. Like he needs the reps out there. Like you could tell his decision making isn't the quickest. He makes some of those poor judgments, but the guy is very lethal on his feet. He is extremely agile. He had those Seattle defenders shaking for every time he ran up the middle. I mean, Ayuk, I don't even want to think about him as a player ever again. I'm so gut-wrenchingly sick of that guy. George Kittle, I mean, he had 8 points, I think, on this game.
I think I think all 8 points are in the first half.
They were all in the
he
first
dropped
half.
2
but
balls or something.
If he didn't get rocked by Jamal Adams in the end zone, he was going to finish with 17, 18, finish as top 5 tight end. So, I mean, I'm not really worried about Kittle. Debo's clearly the number 1 guy he's going to go to.
Yeah. He's so good.
Sermon looks good.
Good.
I mean, the offense still looks good. It's just going to still be ever rotating. And I think I can't see them pivoting back to Jimmy G knowing how good Trey Lance looked.
I can't see him going back to Elijah Mitchell.
No.
Yeah, me neither.
But they will. It's Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, they will. But
I got my list right here. He's going on it next week.
Alrighty. Our last injury that we have to talk about, Teddy Bridgewater, I think did not start the second half or something along that line where he had a concussion. I don't know how serious it is.
Turned it off.
It was Cody. I'll let you speak about this, but the Broncos are not very good with Drew Lock over there.
He's bad. I tried telling everybody this. Like when they traded for Teddy Bridgewater, and the Panthers literally said, "Here, if you'll pay this man $3 million, we'll pay the other $7.5 million owed on his salary because we just traded for Sam Darnold. We don't need him." And Denver was like, "Okay." Traded like 2 days before the draft. I was like, "Oh, cool. They have no faith in Drew Lock." I was like, "All right," because I had no faith in Drew Lock, so I was all about it. I thought we were getting Justin Fields, but Teddy Bridgewater is the perfect quarterback for that system. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's a great game manager. He's a great leader for that offense. Everyone rallies around him.
I don't want to cut you off too much, but not just the offense. I don't know if you saw Justin Simmons' post on Instagram. If you never did, go check it out about the prayer circle thing. Teddy's a leader for a football team. So sorry to cut you off. You can go back to your point. That guy's a leader for a football team.
Everyone loves him. Opponents, teammates, they all rave about his leadership skills. Drew Lock possesses none of that. Drew Lock come into the game, and literally the fans were booing. Like when he come into the game, didn't throw a pass or nothing. Which, granted, we all knew what was going to happen. He looked terrible. I think they got like 50 yards in the second half, and I hope to God that was it wasn't a dirty hit, but it wasn't flagged. Bridgewater got hit helmet down to the face, and they didn't flag it. I hope that he's able to play next Sunday. If not, I probably won't even watch the game because it's going to be a loss.
And my takeaway is that you can't really play any Broncos if Drew Lock is starting quarterback. Cortland Sutton gets downgraded. Tim Patrick is downgraded. Both running backs get downgraded. I have to play Javonte Williams in a dynasty league. I don't have another running back really. But yeah, like none of them are really playable. So I'm hoping that he can play next week.
The only guy from that Denver team I would play consistently is Noah Fant now.
I wouldn't even play him with Drew Lock.
I think he's the best option going forward on that team. I don't like a single other player.
At that point, go get CJ Uzomah and hope he has another solid
week. Or Dalton Schultz, baby.
All right. We're going to kick it now to the weekly wrap. We'll recap the biggest studs and duds from week 4, starting with the quarterbacks. Quarterback 1 was Patrick Mahomes. Quarterback 2, Sam Darnold, 31 points. Quarterback 3, Jalen Hurts, 28 points. Quarterback 7, Daniel Jones, 26 points. So who is your biggest quarterback stud of the week? You know what? I'm going to take this first. I usually kick it to one of you guys, but I want to talk about this. I want to talk about Sam Darnold. I'm a Sam Darnold guy. I've been talking about Sam for the past 3 weeks. I said on the show we're doing this on Sunday, so technically this morning, that Sam Darnold is going to finish as a top 10 fantasy quarterback. He's finished now as a top 5 quarterback. I think 2 out of 4 weeks. The other 2 were 18 and 19 points. Sam Darnold is lighting it up. He seems comfortable with the Panthers, even after throwing, I think, 2 picks today. He went out and threw another touchdown and another 50 yards. Sam Darnold needs to be rostered. I'm saying it now. You need to put Sam Darnold as a backup somewhere. Sam Darnold, Derek Carr, both of them should be rostered because you know what? Trevor Lawrence should not be rostered. I don't care if he's a prodigy. I don't care if he's the next I don't care what you say about him. He's not putting up numbers for your fantasy team. Don't keep him in a regular league. I'm not talking dynasty. I'm talking a regular league. Sam Darnold should be a top 20 rostered quarterback because right now he's playing like a top 10 quarterback. End of story. Sam Darnold is my biggest quarterback stud of the week. Nick, talk about somebody else besides your former Jet.
I hate Sam Darnold. I hate him so much.
It was a lot of garbage time, though. So I mean,
Yeah, it's garbage
Fantasy's
time.
fantasy.
That is true.
I agree with Nick there. It's fantasy. And his schedule going forward is very favorable. He goes Eagles, Vikings, Giants, Falcons.
I mean, even before the garbage time, he had 18 at the half, and I think they were winning at half, or they were within 3
They
points.
were winning 14-13.
Yes, so I mean, yeah.
He's apparently the best read option quarterback in the NFL.
I'm gonna cut off Cody because I think he's gonna want to talk about him. I'm talking Jalen Hurts. The guy was, your late round draft pick. I have him playing in 2 different leagues, and I've locked him in every week. I'm not worried. I'm not debating benching him regardless of matchup at this point. That's my takeaway from Hurts. He's going to put up numbers no matter who he sees.
Cody, anybody else you'd like to talk about from a stud perspective of the quarterbacks?
Nope. I'm going to go right back to my Jalen Hurts pick and 400 passing yards. Granted, the last touchdown he threw, the game was well over, whatever.
Doesn't matter. It's fantasy.
He looked good. He had a couple calls not go their way. I watched the entire game. He had 2 touchdowns, or 1 touchdown with Dallas Goedert and 1 touchdown with Zach Ertz that got called back for penalties. The second one was kind of wishy-washy. Probably should have been a touchdown. He looks like he's improved throwing the football. They're not running him as much. I love that. But their defense is bad. They're going to be in a lot of shootouts, and Jalen Hurts is a top 5 fantasy quarterback.
I also want to mention that Daniel Jones finished as quarterback 7 with 26 points. He's now finished as quarterback 7 and quarterback 5 3 out of 4 weeks. So he's another one.
And the 1 week I didn't play, or the 1 week I played Daniel Jones in DFS, he played Atlanta and stunk.
Yeah. In my opinion, at least, Daniel Jones, Darnold, and Derek Carr are guys that were overlooked and should probably be rostered as backup quarterbacks at this point. And a guy like Joe Burrow should be elevated to a starter at this point.
Darnold might actually be he might be like if you're in a 12-team league, Darnold's probably a starter.
I would start Darnold or Jones over Tannehill. Even with the receivers, I'd start him over Tannehill.
No one should have started Tannehill today. I hope nobody did.
I had to.
Who were your other options?
Sam Darnold.
Oh my god!
I should have trusted myself on that.
Are you serious, Nick?
I should have. Well,
are you? You talked about Sam Darnold all morning.
I know.
What the hell?
I know.
All right, I'm revoking
You're
your Sam
the host
Darnold
of a
card.
fantasy show. How are you going to bench?
I'm revoking your Sam Darnold card. You lose it. You can't say you're a Sam Darnold guy and not have him starting over Ryan Tannehill when he has no receivers.
I'm going to go hide in my dog's cage, and you guys can kind of...
You should have never said that.
We'll go from the show.
Anyway, we're going to get to the duds here. Not a lot of dud quarterbacks. Even guys like Stafford didn't have a good game, ended up having 18. Lamar had 18. The only duds I could find were Kirk Cousins had 10. So, I'm going to skip the duds. If you guys have one in mind, I'm just going to skip it.
There really isn't.
This week, most quarterbacks produce this week. There's not one to talk about. So we're going to save the time. For
Kirk Cousins did let me down, though.
Yeah, but he's a guy that's inconsistent anyway, so I'm not even going to mention it. Wide receivers. Let's talk about the studs first. Tyreek Hill, 47 points. Deebo Samuel, 35 points. DJ Moore, 31 points.
He's going to talk about my whole team here.
Yeah, seriously.
Scary Terry McLaurin, 30 points. Randall Cobb, a blast from the past with 23 points. Corey Davis, who Nick and Cody were drooling over this morning, 21 points. And Darnell Mooney finally had his breakout game with 18 points. So, Cody, I'll let you take it away. Which of these guys do you want to talk about, or anybody else that
It's gotta be Deebo. It's here. Everyone overdrafted him last year. I didn't own Deebo anywhere in redraft leagues last year. I owned Brandon Ayuk. This year, the script flipped. I almost messed that up. Everyone was all over Brandon Ayuk. They threw Deebo out to the trash, and me being the garbage man, I scooped Deebo up everywhere in the 6th round, and man, if he gets 10 targets a game, they're going to use him in that weird Swiss Army knife roll where he's going to get a couple rushes. They manufacture touches for him like around the line of scrimmage, like Tyreek Hill and everyone like that. And then he gets actual routes, like he runs real routes like normal receivers, and he's getting better as a route runner, and that's terrifying. He's such a talent. Like he was such a gem at South Carolina, and it was a shame that he just didn't have anyone good enough throwing him the ball in college.
Alrighty, Nick, your biggest wide receiver stud of the week.
I'm going to go into my stud, but real quick, I didn't like Darnell Mooney. I hate Matt Nagy, but I don't know if you guys saw the report. Matt Nagy gave up play calling, and he's letting the.
Well, that's why they did good.
That's why he's seeing production. And real quickly, I would go target Allen Robinson if I were you, because he's going to start finding his production, and Matt Nagy does not have the play calling. The stud I got to talk about, Mr. 200 yards against me every single time. It's Tyreek Hill. He always gets these boom games. This is why he was drafted as the number 2 wide receiver in just about every single fantasy league that's out there. Tyreek Hill, I mean, look, there's not many guys that can put up this stat line, and Tyreek Hill has done this twice this year, and he'll probably do it every single time I have to face him. So we'll keep you guys posted on when I am.
I'm going to talk about Terry McLaurin, and I think he's matchup proof at this point. 2 of his 4 weeks, he only had 10 points. And in those 10 points, 4 receptions, 62 yards, both of them 4 receptions, 62 yards. 1 against Buffalo, 1 against the Chargers, pretty good secondaries. The other 2, 27 points and 30 points. Terry McLaurin is matchup proof. It doesn't matter the quarterback. He's almost to the point where he's like DeAndre Hopkins with the Texans, or Calvin Johnson with the Lions, and any of those guys. Allen Robinson, who's had like 5 different quarterbacks. So for me, Terry McLaurin, you drafted him in round 3. You're sitting comfortably. He could be your wide receiver 1. If you went running back, and you drafted like Nick Chubb and Saquon or something like that, and then you went Terry, like you're fine. That's a wide receiver 1 that I think is going to slip into the second round next year, and there's no reason why he shouldn't. The duds for the wide receivers. Cooper Kupp finally came back to earth after his journey on Mars and Jupiter and everywhere else where he was these last few weeks. He scored 11 points. DeAndre Hopkins, 10 points. All these guys are wide receiver like 35 and on, by the way. OBJ, 5.1. Jalen Waddle, 6.6. Adam Thielen, 7.6. CeeDee Lamb, 3.3. Allen Robinson had 10. So, Cody, who's your biggest wide receiver dud on the week?
It's got to be Nuke. What's going on? Like, I understand he got the Jalen Ramsey treatment today. They obviously have enough weapons where they don't have to force him the ball anymore. But, like, you're talking about a week 2 where he caught 4 balls for 41 yards. You're lucky he got in the end zone. Didn't target him any after that first drive. The last week against Jacksonville, they're literally drooling at the matchup. He flops, and then he flops again. Man, I'm starting to wonder if there's too many mouths to feed there, and it might hurt his production, because Hopkins has always been a guy that he's the alpha, and he's the guy that has to be fed. That's just how he is. He's not going to win. He's not going to go up and be a precise route runner. He's a guy that's going to win contested catches. He's going to get you the dirty yards. They don't really need that. Like, they're just going out and just blitzing teams. Like, what they did to the Rams today was impressive.
I said best offense in football. I'm standing by it. I'm standing by it. I don't know what the Bucs are going to do tonight. The Bucs are on television right now. My television's right there. I don't know what the Bucs are going to do tonight, but I don't know. The Cardinals.
Let's just look at it. Last week, the Bucs went to Los Angeles and the Rams made them look bad. This week, Arizona went to Los Angeles and ran it up on them.
There you go. I mean, that's
right all there. You need to know. That's same opponent.
Yeah. What about you, Nick? Your biggest wide receiver dud on the week?
It's Odell Beckham Jr. OBJ, I drafted confidently thinking that I could start.
Because I got back in on him. He stunk.
Yeah. I mean, it was not a good performance. I mean, Baker Mayfield, as I always say, he's not that guy. I'm sorry.
Baker had a horrible day. Baker had a horrible
Did
day.
They win or did they lose?
They won. They barely won.
They barely won.
Barely.
And it was an ugly 14-7. They got a touchdown with a 2-point conversion and 2 field goals.
Gross. So we're talking about a guy that I thought would be locked in every single week. Baker Mayfield's not that guy. They had a favorable matchup, number 1 offensive line in the league. Baker had the time and couldn't produce. Chubb hit the 100-yard mark. Kareem Hunt had production. Odell Beckham could not find it with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. And I really don't know what to say other than Baker played poorly, and that's just going to be a reflection of Odell. I hope for the guy that he gets moved out of there, or that they find a way to acquire Aaron Rodgers when he leaves, or Deshaun Watson when he becomes available, or someone else. Because Baker Mayfield, I don't think is bringing him to the Super Bowl. So I think that they should go get one of those guys and let Odell really be Odell and be that guy.
All right, for me, it's going to be CeeDee Lamb. I think these two Cowboys wide receivers are playable every week, and just a weird game. Like I'm looking at I guess it was a Zeke show almost. 143 yards and a touchdown. Tony Pollard at 67. Because the target share here, Dalton Schultz led the team in targets with 8, and then CeeDee Lamb with 5. He only caught 2 of them for 13 yards. Just a weird game. CeeDee's going to be fine. I'm not worried about him, but
they didn't need to throw that much.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem.
The whole second half, they just run the ball.
Yeah. It was the Zeke show. But I mean, I'm not worried about him season long, but if you had CeeDee this week, that's pretty tough to have only 3.3 in a flex or a wide receiver 2 slot.
Just real quick, if you don't mind, Nick. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys, we thought that they were going to be the same team that they were the past 2-3 years, where they're down in games by halftime and getting those garbage points. Dak's not getting the yards that we're used to. They're not passing as much. They're managing the clock. They found some way. I mean, Trayvon Diggs has been phenomenal.
That's why they're winning football games.
Defensive player of the year.
They're winning football games because they're not throwing 50 times a game.
Exactly. They don't need to. And that's a benefit of the team, and it's good for the Dallas Cowboys. But for fantasy, I mean, it's going to affect the outlook. I mean, this is a 3-0 team that the offense was rolling. With McCaffrey and without McCaffrey, they were still fine. They were still getting the ball down the field. And, I mean, when you're not getting the ball down the field and you're forcing turnovers, the yards just aren't there. You're not going deep on those routes. You're looking short. You're looking towards the end zone, and they run the ball extremely well with both of those running backs. So, I mean, all these wide receivers are going to get a downtick, but it's an uptick for the position overall.
I have breaking news on the show. Jimmy Garoppolo anticipates being out a couple weeks with his calf injury. The job is going to Trey Lance.
That job back.
Jimmy G's never starting for the 40. Well, if Trey Lance is healthy, Jimmy G is never starting for the San Francisco 49ers. Again, that's a shame.
I can see him getting traded at the deadline.
That's a shame. Yeah, I mean, I said this morning, week 8, Trey Lance is starting.
I don't think they'll get anything for him.
I mean,
he has such a big salary. No team's going to take
what team do they even trade him to? Who needs? I mean,
he's a free agent at the end of the year. Nobody's going to give.
They're going to let him go. They'll let him go at that.
The only team I could think of off the top of my head would be Washington, and that's if Fitzpatrick really struggles with recovery from the injury.
No. Alrighty. We're going to move on now to the running backs. We have some big studs up here. Cordell Patterson, running back 1, 34 points. Saquon Barkley, 29 points, running back 2. David Montgomery, running back 4, with 22 points before getting hurt. Running back 6 for the Eagles, Kenneth Gainwell, running back 7, James Robinson. He back-to-back strong weeks with 20 points. Running back 9, Jonathan Taylor finally broke out. Running back 11, Clyde Edwards-Helaire with 19 points, back-to-back 100-yard rushing games. And then I don't have the points here, but both Arizona running backs, Chase Edmonds and James Conner, were within the top 12. So my dog's drinking water. He's just behind me. That's why if you're watching the video, I'm just looking at him. He's being good right now. Good boy, Russ.
All right, guys. I'm going to jump on this grenade for everyone.
Let's do it.
This Cordell Patterson grenade.
Thank you.
That nobody wants to talk about. I don't want to talk about it. The man scored 3 touchdowns receiving on 5 catches. He had 6 targets. He converted 5 of them into catches and 3 of them into touchdowns. That is absolutely 1,000,000% unsustainable. I'm not saying to drop Cordell Patterson. You probably have to play him because for some reason we're getting the year 9 breakout from the dude that can't run the football. He couldn't find a hole to save his soul, and he can't run a route to save his soul.
But his fantasy numbers are 23 points, 16 and 34. So he's putting up numbers for some reason.
Yeah, and I don't know why the Falcons, who had the number 4 overall pick and took the freak tight end, Kyle Pitts, and they go, cool, man, you stay over there. We just need you out here just to pull coverage so we can feature this 30-something-year-old dude.
It's the
No,
weirdest.
I'm
it's
so
the
mad
weirdest,
about this.
It's
I
the
hate
weirdest.
it.
It's so weird.
I hate it. We have Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts. The hell with them. We're gonna feature Cordell Patterson.
It's just the weirdest thing in fantasy football right now. It's so weird. Nick,
all right, guys, I jumped on that grenade for you, so you don't got to talk about him.
Cody pulled a Steve Rogers, so he's a good soldier. He's going to get his.
Hey, I could have played Cordell Patterson against you and scored more points. He was in my lineup over Miles Sanders, but I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to play Miles Sanders.
All right, Nick, who do you want to talk about for the running back studs?
I gotta really quickly touch on Patterson because the receiving role is what I hoped Gage would get, and Gage is hurt, and it's just not gonna happen.
It's what I hoped Mike Davis would get. That's why I thought they drafted him or traded for him.
I'm pissed about it. Real quickly, Saquon Barkley is back. The guy looks like, regardless of fantasy stats, the guy just looks like the Saquon Barkley that like you thought would be the number one running back.
Quadzilla is back.
He's a tank. He looks phenomenal. I own him as my running back 2 in a league. I'm so hype about that. I know Cody has him.
Well, see, people I don't want to interrupt you, but people look at his rushing, like his rushes and his attempts and his rushing yards, and they're like, "Ooh, Saquon Barkley is a freak in the pass game." And no matter the fault of the New York Giants, they have always used him in the passing game.
Yeah.
And look, Saquon caught the long 50-yard touchdown. You get the ball in his hands. You want the ball in your best player's hands, not Cordell Patterson.
Yeah. For me, it's going to be James Robinson. He's a guy you drafted in rounds 3 or 4. He shot up the draft boards once Travis Etienne went out with an injury. He has back-to-back weeks with 20-plus fantasy points. He has 3 touchdowns in those weeks, averaging just around 3 or 4 targets, so the targets could be a little bit better. But aside from that, he's the running back 2 on the season in this league that I'm looking at right now, so he's got to be a top 5 running back. So if you draft him in rounds 3 or 4 and you were worried after the first 2 weeks, he's fine as long as he doesn't start partying with Urban Meyer on the streets like he's doing right now. He'll be fine. He's not going anywhere. Urban's going somewhere, but I guess not. Yeah. That's another ridiculous story. And the running back duds on the week, Dalvin Cook, who was overall drafted number 2, had 6.4 points. Miles Sanders had 7.7. Deandre Swift had 8.3. Myles Gaskin had 0.3, and Chris Carson 4.1, all within the running backs 35 to 45 range. Cody, who would you like to touch on?
I want to talk about Miles Sanders just because he's a bum. He's a bum because Kenneth Gainwell's getting more touches. But I'm going to talk about DeAndre Swift because, as everyone knows, I'm a DeAndre Swift guy. The problem here is Dan Campbell. You're on the list, buddy. What is this with Jamal Williams getting 67% of the snaps? What is this sorcery?
I'm a Jamal Williams guy. I like that.
I like Jamal Williams, but he's not DeAndre Swift. Dan Campbell. Your name is saved on there forever.
Oh, man. What was his quote about biting kneecaps or something?
This dude earlier last week, he said, "Man, DeAndre Swift's an amazing talent. We got to get him the ball more." What? He's your best player, and you're just now realizing this? Miles Sanders. I should have talked about that bum. I own him way too many places.
I want you to talk about him real quick. Is Kenneth Gainwell somebody that you're worried about? Is he somebody that you're?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So he's a handcuff. Is he a waiver player that you got to target this week now? Gainwell.
If Kenneth Gainwell is on your waiver wire, you should absolutely pick him up because with as bad as their defense is, they do not trust Miles Sanders in the passing game. Kenneth Gainwell played the slot for about 40% of the snaps.
Didn't he have 8 receptions?
Yeah. For some reason, Miles Sanders, he's got something wrong with him. He runs out of bounds whenever there's any sort of resistance. He looks like he just doesn't care. I own Miles Sanders in 2 redraft leagues and a dynasty league. I've been trying to deal him in the dynasty league. I cannot deal him for nothing. I have Kenneth Gainwell at least in there, but it doesn't really matter. My team, it's the team that I'm not worried about. Like I'm trying to lose so I can get. I'm accumulating picks, but I can't trade Miles Sanders for anything. Like it's awful. But I am very worried about Kenneth Gainwell. Miles Sanders just looks bad. Like back-to-back weeks, he's looked bad.
I want to talk about Chris Carson, one of my Seahawks guys. In 4 weeks, he's 12, 15, 16, and 4. Not bad. The week he scored 15, he had 2 touchdowns. That means he really scored like one or 2. And then the week he scored 16 against Minnesota, he had a touchdown. So he really scored 10. So take away the touchdowns, he's going 12, 3, 10, and 4. Today, Alex
Collins,
got
hurt today.
Nope. Today, Alex Collins ran better than him, and Alex Collins had 10 carries. Carson had 13. Collins had 44 yards, 14 more, average 4.4 yards a carry. Collins had 1 more reception, and he had 2 receptions for 34 yards. Carson had 1 reception for 1 yard. So if you're a Carson owner, go handcuff Alex Collins. I know it's 1 game, but Pete Carroll has an obsession with Rashad Penny. Anytime the guy is healthy for 5 minutes.
He should. He's good.
He's good for 5 minutes before he breaks.
He just can't stay healthy.
He's good for 5 minutes before his leg falls off. And then, so Alex Collins, you got to handcuff him because Carson's not that running back 1 in Seattle anymore. I think they're looking towards more of a committee, almost ride the hot hand. I think Carson's always going to be the guy, but there's always going to be somebody breathing behind his neck. And Russ also does still run. He did a bit of running today. So you play Carson every week. That's not what I'm saying, but I am saying handcuff Alex Collins if you can. What about you, Nick? Your running back dud of the week.
I'm going to run through them all real quickly because I don't have much to say on them. I think you guys covered most of the points. Dalvin Cook's the only one here you're starting every week, in my opinion, at this point.
And that was an injury thing, I think. It's a game script against the Browns, injury thing.
I mean, even besides
did anybody watch to see if he looked like it was hindering him, or did he look bad, or
he left the game?
I think Cleveland's defensive front is good.
Well, he left the game at one point, and then he came back in and he spun around a couple defenders. So I think that was a Cleveland defense thing, and he's fine. He's fine.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not worried about Dalvin Cook. Miles Sanders splitting the backfield. Deandre Swift splitting the backfield. Myles Gaskin splitting the backfield. Chris Carson splitting the backfield. Not a good recipe for your running back too, and that's what all of them are. So
hey, we don't talk about like that with DeAndre Swift. He still caught 6 balls.
Look, he has production, but when you're splitting a backfield,
we still hate Dan Campbell. We can hate Dan Campbell, but we can
hate Dan Campbell. We can hate Matt Nagy. We can hate the pair. We can do that.
We don't talk bad about no DeAndre Swift on this show.
Yeah, it's no hate at any of the players. It's more so they're all in a committee, and there's not really a lot of committees. I'll repeat it again. Only committee I'm willing to start every week is the Cleveland Browns, and that's about it.
All righty. Tight end studs of the week. CJ Uzomah, 26 points. Dawson Knox, tight end 2, 20 points. Tight end 3, Mo Ali Cox.
I'm on puke.
Number 4.
Hold on. Tight end 4, Dalton Schultz.
All 4 of those guys were not drafted. In 12-team leagues, not any of them were drafted. Not even any of them were like your drunk buddy that drafts terrible, that just gets shitty before the draft even starts. And in the 8th round, he drafts like Plaxico Burress or something. And you're just laughing at him and you're like, cool, man, whatever. None of these guys were drafted. Not a one of them.
All right. Who's your biggest tight end stud of the week, Nick?
Don't even do it. Don't even do it.
I could do CJ.
How about them Cowboys, Nick?
I could go Dawson. I could go. How about them Cowboys? Let's go, baby. Dalton Schultz. Another big week. The stud himself. You gotta love this man. You gotta love him. I don't care about no Blake Jarwin, Dalton Schultz, he's that guy. Dak trusts him. He catches that ball.
If he'd have caught that Blake Jarwin touchdown, I'd have been sweating it a little bit. I'd have been sweating it a little.
Hey, Blake Jarwin's touchdown means one thing. What they even looked at him at the 2-point conversion, Dalton Schultz. That's how much Dak loves
He's
that
averaging,
man.
he's averaging
Dalton
6
Schultz
targets
is
a
that
game.
guy.
He's averaging 6 targets a game. Like, he's playable at that point. I think Nick talked about Schultz. I'm going to talk about Dawson Knox because Dawson Knox is Josh Allen's favorite red zone target. He loves Diggs. That's his favorite target from like the other 1 yard line to like the other like 95 5-yard line. But within that 5, he's looking for Dawson Knox. He just catches touchdowns. And I said it on the Sunday morning show. Dawson Knox is going to have like a Robert Tonyan type year. He'll average probably 3-4 receptions a game, 30-40 yards, but he's going to get like 10 touchdowns. So if you struggle on tight end, if Logan Thomas is your tight end, he's hurt. If you have Gronk and he's hurt. If you don't have one of the top, if you don't have one of the top 4, Dawson Knox is playable. Cody, you love all these guys, so I'm gonna give you the
all these guys are the fantastic crop of tight end. Like, oh no, Travis Kelce, nah. George Kittle, nah. He hasn't played yet. Darren Waller is gonna have a horrible night tomorrow night. Just to fill this tight end,
I hope
mockery.
The duds right now. We have T.J. Hawkins.
Let's just get right into that because these guys are a joke. No, I don't have any. Hey, when these guys were both blowing me up. Oh, Dalton Schultz, he caught another one. He's got 12 points. And I was like, all right, whatever. Well, then he caught a touchdown, and I was like, there ain't no way this dude's really going to get there. No way. And I was like, what? Well, CeeDee Lamb, what are you doing?
For those of you that don't know, Cody had a bet with Nick that if Dalton Schultz scored 26 this week, he was shaving his head. He scored 18. If he caught another touch,
if he caught the Blake Jarwin touchdown then they gave him the 2-point conversion, I would have lost.
Yeah.
You would have been seeing a reflection other than Cody's glasses.
I don't know what's up with my glasses. This is really starting to annoy me.
Yeah. All right. So the tight end bust. T.J. Hawkinson 8 points. Travis Kelce 6.
There's a few of them.
And Kittle at 8. Cody, you're on the screen right now. So who's your biggest tight end bust of the week?
Travis Kelce. What the hell? Every time I play this dude in DFS, it's his floor game. They double him. I hate it. I hate. This is why I don't play Travis Kelce. This is why in DFS when I get to the tight end position, I go and I scroll all the way down to this like 3,000 range because if this dude has a pulse and catches a couple balls, I'm happy. If he doesn't do anything, it doesn't kill me. I paid $8,100 for Travis Kelce and he scored 6 points. And Mahomes threw 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, I just cannot wait to see Dalton Schultz on your cheaper by the dozen next week.
He might be.
Nick, any busts you want to talk about at the tight ends?
This is the second week in a row Hawkinson had a poor performance, and after 2 weeks, a lot of shows were saying Hawkinson's going to guaranteed to finish as a top 3 tight end at this point. That guarantee is not there. The Lions' offense is still not good. Dan Campbell, not that coach. He's going to be gone within the next 2 years. I think all Lions fans already know this at this point.
He's a bad coach.
Jared Goff, bad quarterback. I think this is already league known. Week 1 was a fluke week. Let's be honest. That's who. This is more of who Jared Goff is a quarterback. That's why they traded him. So don't have that same uplook for Hawkinson where you're guaranteeing top 3 performance every week. That's not who he's going to be. That's not what the offense is, and that's why he was not drafted above George Kittle, not drafted above Travis Kelce, not drafted above Darren Waller.
All right, and real quick, we're going to run through the rookies here. Trevor Lawrence with a quarterback 19, 17 points. Zach Wilson, quarterback 20, 17.6. Quarterback 12, Trey Lance 20.3. Quarterback 29, Justin Fields at 7.2. Running back 25, Michael Carter 10.1. Running back, I didn't update the ranking, honestly. I think the top 5 running back was Harris. Najee Harris with 21 points. Trey Sermon at 8.8. And then the receivers, Kadarius Tony had 13.9, Jamar Chase 13.7, and Kyle Pitts at 9. Nick, we'll start with you real quick. Who are your top 1 or 2 biggest rookie performances from week 4?
Trey Lance, 20 points and a half. That's the guy. I mean, that was his first real NFL game other than, a couple rushing plays here and then near the goal line. Trey Lance is someone I stashed in multiple leagues. I'm extremely comfortable after seeing that game with him. Number 2, Kadarius Tony. Keep your eye out on him. The guy is extremely talented. He looked like a good football player. That wide receiving core is just a little too crowded. But I mean, if you're in a dynasty league, this is a good guy to look at. This is a very good guy to look at because he has a clear role there. And with Shepard and Slayton injured and possibly not going to look to bring him back in years to come, especially with Galladay on lock now, Kadarius Toney is going to have a real role in this offense within the next 2 years. So start taking a look at that.
I think you nailed that one. I wouldn't pick him up now because Slayton and Shepard are coming back and they have chemistry with Jones and just signed Galladay, but I like that take. For me, I mean, I think you nailed it. I mean, those are the ones that I would have talked about too. There's really nothing else to say. Jamar Chase will have more weeks where he gets over 15. Sermon needs a touchdown every week kind of to get over 10, 15. Najee Harris, back-to-back weeks with 20 points. The Steelers offense is terrible. It's pitiful. It's not fun to watch. It's not fun to watch, but it's the Najee Harris show, and that's a good thing for somebody like me that drafted him in round 2. Cody, your biggest rookie performance that you would like to speak about?
It's got to be Trey Lance. He's such a freak athlete. Like the deal is like he needs playing time, but everyone's like, oh, he's a rookie. You don't want to run him. He's such an athlete, and he is so gifted that he can get out of bad situations. Like it's so much fun watching him play. I can't wait to see him. With all those weapons, it's gonna be a joy.
Alrighty, those are our rookie performances, and that is our weekly recap. So we're gonna kick it now to the waiver wire. Not much to talk about, but we'll try to help you out as best as we can. So first off, we have some Detroit Lions wide receivers: Quintez Cephus. Quintez Cephus, 5 targets, 4 catches for 83 yards and 12 fantasy points. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8 targets, 6 catches for 70 yards. And Khalif Raymond, 6 targets, 3 catches, 46 yards, and 2 touchdowns for 19 fantasy points. Dawson Knox, we talked about him, 5 receptions, 37 yards, 2 touchdowns for 20 fantasy points. If you need a tight end, same with Dalton Schultz, 6 receptions, 58 yards, a touchdown for 17 fantasy points. Jameson Crowder, his first game back and first game with rookie quarterback Zach Wilson, 7 receptions for 61 yards, 19 fantasy points.
Sounds like a Crowder line.
Jeremy Mcnichols for the Titans, didn't rush a lot, but as a running back, he had 8 receptions, 74 yards for 16 fantasy points. Randall Cobb rose back from the dead, 5 receptions for 69 yards. Nice. 2 touchdowns, 23 fantasy points. Van Jefferson, 6 receptions, 90 yards, and a touchdown. Cody, who's your biggest waiver wire target for week 5?
It's probably got to be Dawson Knox. He's, out of all those guys listed, that offense, no matter what, is going to throw the ball. It doesn't matter. They were up 35 points, and Josh Allen's in shotgun, 5 wide, spread out. Dawson Knox is a big red zone target. He's not going to be a guy that's going to catch you 8 or 9 balls for 90 yards. You're looking for Dawson Knox around the red zone. He's a big target. He's a guy. He's the Robert Tonyan of this year. Oh, Funyun Tunyon. I just can't talk about Dalton Schultz. I can't.
What about you, Nick?
That's okay. That's fine. You don't have to, because I'm going to talk right about him. Dalton Schultz picked him up last week. We said stash or trash. I said, lock or flop. I locked that guy in. Top 5 tight end performance on the week. I love that man. Good man. I love
trash.
No way is he trash.
Nick, who's your number 1 waiver wire target for this week?
It is Dalton Schultz. You should have picked up last week when I told you. And then number 2, we're going to talk Jameson Crowder. I think Crowder clearly is still going to have a role in this offense. Elijah Moore was injured, so I'll give him the credit. He is going to probably see a lot less production, but the game script is going to be like this for most of the games where they're playing from behind. They got off to a lead near the end of the game, so you didn't see as much of that garbage time as you typically would with a terrible team like this. But Crowder really be the most reliable option. In terms of targets and receptions, Crowder's been the most reliable, and he's only played 1 game with Zach Wilson. Elijah Moore has a ton of drops. Corey Davis has a ton of drops. Keelan Cole looked good, but he's not going to have that much of a defined role in the offense other than a here or there big play. So Crowder's going to be the most reliable option because a lot of Zach Wilson leads the league in picks with 8. I think 5 of them came off. 5 of them came off wide receivers' hands. So, I mean, look, he's going to the offense is going to look to go to the safe option with the rookie, and Jameson Crowder just is that guy right now.
Hey, hold on just a second. What did I say about Corey Davis?
You were correct on him.
What did I say about Zach Wilson?
Oh, that's true.
What did I say? I almost played him. I had him in my lineup.
Yeah.
I changed it to Mahomes at
it worked out.
2 minutes before. Well, no, it didn't. I didn't win any money.
For me, when it comes to this waiver wire, there's no slam dunk target. It's whatever you need. If you need a flex spot, grab a receiver. If you need a running back, I think Jeremy McNichols is worth a shot. You got to see what he does next week or the week after. I would give a shot on him. How badly you need a running back. Yeah.
The deal with McNichols is they used him as a receiver a lot today because they were so down at receiver. I want no part of it.
But most of his production didn't even come like Cordell Patterson lines up like in motion from the outside. Like
this dude lines up in the backfield.
He lined up in place of when Derrick Henry was out because they had to give him the ball 35, 40 times in this game.
Yeah.
Like that's why Jeremy McNichols saw production. I think if anything, it tells you to handcuff him with Derrick Henry. But Derrick Henry's shown nothing that shows that he's going to have an injury.
But imagine how awful that offense will be. Like say they have A.J. Brown and Julio Jones and Derrick Henry gets hurt. Imagine how awful that offense would be.
Yeah.
They would not be able to run the ball. It would be so bad. Now the Jets are a team that people sleep on. Their defensive front is very good. I think they sacked Tannehill like 6 times today.
He was close, 6 or 7.
They're not going to be an easy out for anyone. They're not going to just lay over and say, "All right, cool, yeah, beat the hell out of us, whatever, we're done."
Outside of the Denver game, honestly, they've competed in every game that they've played. Like even the New England game,
and he threw 4 picks in the New England game.
Yeah. And they did not see yardage because Zach Wilson was giving them the ball within the 40-yard line on their territory.
Yeah.
Like so
I mean, you're going to give up points if
letting that happen.
You're going to give up points if you turn the ball over on your side of the field. It's just it goes hand in hand. Yeah. But I don't want any part of McNichols just because if something happens to Henry, oh God, that offense would be terrible.
But if I had to pick one waiver wire target, I'm going to say Randall Cobb. I know he's older, but Marquise Valdes-Scantling's dealing with an injury. He had 5 receptions today, 69 yards and 2 touchdowns. I feel like that's just a guy that Rodgers is comfortable with as a number 2 wide receiver.
Who wanted him back? Who said go get
Rodgers did? Yeah,
go get me Randall Cobb.
So I think he's a guy that Rodgers can continue to target. So I think he's worth a roster spot right now. All right, that's our waiver wire, and our final segment for today is going to be stash or trash. We're going to name some players and let you know if they're still worth stashing on your rosters. So first off, Rob Gronkowski. He has a punctured lung or something, a couple broken ribs. Probably going to be out 4 weeks, maybe more. Are you stashing him? We'll start with you. We're going to start with Nick and Cody for all of these. So Nick, you first.
Stashing him. The guy, even after this week, is probably still going to have top 5, top 6 tight end numbers on the season. Not a lot of other tight ends have that. Not a lot of other tight ends present that big of a red zone threat in being a favorite target on a highly productive offense outside of the tight end position. So Robert Gronkowski is still going to see those red zone looks regardless because the team will always move the ball down the field. You have to stash him. He's going to finish most of those weeks as a top 10 tight end moving forward. And he's one of the only guys, like we read you who the top 4 are as of right now. Like there's not going to be a lot of guys that are going to cycle in that, or there's going to be a lot of guys that cycle in that. So Gronk's going to be one of them that'll always finish in that top 10.
What about you, Cody?
No, you have to stash Gronk. I'm not a Gronk guy, but you have to stash him at that shallow position. You have to.
What about Ronald Jones?
Trash. The hottest of trash.
I'm trashing him as well, Nick.
I'm trashing him, especially knowing that Giovanni Bernard is going to have as big of a role as he did.
What about any Ravens running back? Tyson Williams, who's a healthy scratch, Latavius Murray, Le'Veon Bell.
No. How would you ever know which one's going to be decent? Trash them all. They're all old and dusted.
What about you, Nick?
Latavius Murray's the only one I'll stash. The rest of them, no.
Yeah, if you badly need a running back, yeah, but I'm trashing the rest. How about Terrence Marshall in regular leagues, not dynasty?
Trash.
Nick.
Yeah, you got to trash him. Without McCaffrey, I mean, he still hasn't found more than 9 points in a game.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. Trash him. Rondale Moore or Christian Kirk. We'll do both here. Cody?
Man. I'm keeping them. I'm stashing them.
Yeah, I'm stashing them as well because I need to get to like week 6 to see what this offense is really going to shake out to be because even Hopkins isn't consistent at this point, like we spoke about. So
it's got too many weapons.
Yeah. AJ Dillon, he had 10 points today. Stash or trash?
Oh, you have to stash AJ Dillon. If Aaron Jones goes down, my God, the C's part.
I'm looking to trade him to the Aaron Jones owner because I do not want to lock up a running back that you're using as a handcuff for a guy that's not even on your roster. So if you have Aaron Jones, stash him. If you do not, go trade for him. If you have him and you don't have Jones, go trade him to that owner.
I'm taking Nick's take. That's a good take. Will Fuller.
Garbage.
He might be harder trash than Ronald Jones.
Yeah, I think I'm trashing him too. Curtis Samuel, first game back, I believe was today.
Stash.
Yeah, I'll stash him too. Tim Patrick.
Stash.
I'll stash him for now, but I got to see how long Teddy B is out for. And lastly, Sony Michel.
Trash.
Yep, I'm taking him out to Oscar the Grouch.
I can't believe they spent that much high of a draft pick for that guy. You got to trash him, though. Come on, man.
Alrighty, that was our show for this week. Thank you guys for listening. I didn't do the plugs at the beginning of the show, so this is your first time listening. Thank you for listening to us. If you want to keep listening to the show, and please do. It's every Tuesday and Friday and Sunday, but Tuesday and Friday for the audio version is going to be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, basically anywhere where you find your podcasts. If you're on Apple, please give us a review and a 5-star rating. It helps a lot. If you want to watch the show instead on Tuesdays or Fridays, you can go to YouTube, PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast. And our third show is a live show every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern time on our YouTube, our Facebook, and our Twitter. We do a live daily fantasy football segment. We give you injury updates at 11:30 when those injury reports come out. And we also will give you, we'll answer all of your questions throughout the show. So come in into the chat and ask any questions that you may have. And our social media, follow us on Twitter, TikTok and Instagram, PrimeTimeFFPod. Facebook is Primetime Fantasy Podcast. YouTube is Primetime Fantasy Podcast. Nick, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
JETS, Jets, baby.
Ugh. Cody.
Don't play Dalton Schultz.
You can follow me on Twitter at @TheNickGiacobi for everything else, football or non-football related. That's all we got for you guys.
It is pouring in Foxborough.
We will talk to you guys on Friday, week 5. Let's have a good one.